The meeting is called to order at 5:47. Hearing session. This is the portion of our meeting designated for comments from the public about matters related to the closed session agenda. Comments are limited to 3 minutes with a maximum of 20 minutes allocated for a particular item or topic. To address the governing board, please submit to the clerk of the board a completed speaker card prior to the start of the closed session portion of the meeting. Mr. Favela, do we have any cards?
I don't see any cards here.
This is for just for closed
Just for
session.
closed session.
Closed session.
Okay, so they still have until
A while.
yeah.
All right. So we are adjourned at 5:47 for closed session. Watch your back. I'd like to choose. Trying to deter a few on my, in my own little lane here, okay? All right, so we are returning from closed session at 6:19. And we are returning from closed session and convening into open section. The public report of action taken in closed session, oh my God. No action taken. So we will move to the flag salute with the better articulated students that I am this evening. It will be Isabel Hall and Liam Roach will lead us in the flag salute this evening. It's a bull voice.
Good evening. My name is Isabel. I am a second grader at William H. Fraser. Please join me in the flag salute. Please stand. Put your right hand over your heart. Ready, begin.
I
pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you.
Be seated.
Be seated.
Thank you, Isabel. Isabel, eventually they're so tired. I have middle school, remember. So moving on to number 8. Approved minutes of March 13th, 2023 regular board meeting and March 22nd, 2023 special meeting and board work study session. It is recommended the governing board approve the minutes of the March 13th, 2023 board meeting and March 22nd, 2023 special board meeting and board work and study session. So do I have a motion to approve the minutes?
I summon.
Thank you. Do I have a second?
I second.
Thank you.
Sure.
And the motion, sorry, and I'll call for the vote. Ms. Sybil? Aye. Thank you. Ms. McBride? Aye. Thank you, Mr. Favela.
I did want to make an amendment on
Yes.
the minutes on my report. I did mention an amount. I gave an update as to the amount that was going to be paid out to Dr. Singh. That was, I would like that number to be reflected in the minutes for the public record. So just with that amendment, I approve.
And I will approve as well, so the motion carries.
We need to take it forward with that amendment.
We should.
Mhm. So I think it's a new
We should take a
proposal,
revote.
right?
Yeah.
A new motion.
Okay, so
I
going
make
back,
a motion to support the approval of the minutes with the change that Mr. Favela just recommended.
thank you. Do I have a second? A second. Thank you. And going back to the vote, Ms. McBride? Aye. Mr. Favela?
Aye.
Ms. Lundeen? Aye. Ms. Sybil? Aye. And I will vote aye as well, so the motion carries. All right, our next section. Hearing session. This is the portion of our meeting designated for comments from the public about matters not on the agenda, but within the subject matter jurisdiction of the board. Should individuals wish to comment on items on the present agenda, they may do so during this portion of the meeting or at the time the item is considered by the board. Comments are limited to 3 minutes with a maximum of 20 minutes allocated for a particular item or topic. While the Brown Act allows the board to hear issues within its jurisdiction from the public that are not on the agenda, it only allows the board to respond in a very limited manner, such as providing direction to staff. If the board were to have more than this type of brief discussion on an item not on the agenda, it could be a violation of the Brown Act's rules for posting the agenda. To address the governing board, please submit to the clerk of the board completed speaker card prior to the start of the open session portion of the meeting. Mr. Vella, do we have any cards? Yes, I believe we have a lot of cards.
We have quite a few cards tonight.
Alright.
Most of them are open or for the open hearing session. I don't know if any were the agenda item you mentioned.
And yes, there was one on board operations.
Board operations, okay. So I'll hold that for when we get to that. When we get to that point, so first up, we have Maria Gomez Speaking to Fallbrook Allier.
Thank you and good evening. My name is Maria Gomez, and I have the honor of serving as co-chair for Fallbrook Allier Reading, Family Literacy, Cesar Chavez Day of Service and Learning for nearly 20 years. I would like to take these 3 minutes to publicly thank a few people for the outstanding work accomplished on Saturday. After 3 years of modified program, we were excited about conducting an in-person event this past Saturday, April 15th. It was our 19th annual Fallbrook Allier reading, and it was very successful overall. 100% of the parent evaluations submitted gave the highest rating of very good. They were very happy, and the children were happy. That was only possible through the dedicated commitment of over 150 volunteers, some of whom have been working for months. This was a collaboration of school personnel who volunteered. District Office, Dr. Leah Curcio being one, and Seth French, site administrators, Ms. Ana Arias and Dr. Gonzalez. Many certificated and classified staff and numerous parents, mainly from ALS, volunteered their time and resources to see this event happening for our community. We also had parents and students from the high school and volunteers from all of the in-town schools, as well as Vallecitos and Bonso, not to mention the scores of community members who came out to support this event. We had workshop presenters from Cal State San Marcos and the County Office of Education, the Cesar Chavez Foundation Educational Fund, and an award-winning children's book author from Carlsbad. In addition, we had many businesses and agencies from Fallbrook supporting the event to promote literacy, community service, and the legacy of Cesar Chavez. And we were quite fortunate to have Cesar Chavez's grandson, Andres Chavez, there as a guest reader and keynote speaker. We were happy to see the board members who attended and participated as guest readers and our DJ. We hope it helps the new board members gain a better insight of how important this program is for the community of Fallbrook and the children served by the school district. As we debrief as a committee, we are already making plans for our 20th annual event in 2024. We remain committed to service and look forward to any and all support that you can give our students. We thank you all. And if you have any questions, we'll be happy to answer. Thank you.
Okay, so next up we have Annabelle Young. Can't read the last name. T-A-B, I think it is. I'm sorry.
Good evening. Kind of nervous. This is our first time doing something like this. My name is Annabeth, and I am the first VP for CSCA. Along with me, we have the transportation department. Oh, you're gonna speak, right? So we're gonna have Rosa share with us, and she has the rest of her colleagues pretty much supporting.
Good evening. My name is Rosa Castillo. I've been with the Fallbrook District for over 27 years. I'm very happy as a bus driver. And right now, the situation is that we're struggling for hours. We're guaranteed 4 hours every year. That's guaranteed. So maybe some of these drivers get 5-6 hours if we're lucky. But the problem right now is that our extra work is being contracted out to other departments. So we're not getting any extra work. We're struggling. We're losing drivers because they're going to go find work somewhere else. And we need help. We need something to keep us, so to support our families. Because 4 to 6 hours is not enough right now with the economy. And we love our job. We've been here, we're dedicated. We love the kids and we love driving the buses. Not anybody can drive those buses. They're big buses. And with 74 kids, on the buses, that's a lot of responsibility, and we'd like to get more hours, maybe get a raise. We haven't got a raise in a while. And, we need your support. We need your support to help us from not getting our extra work contracted out to other districts, to the high school. Anybody else?
Thank you, governing board, for,
Let me hold for
Go ahead.
a second, because I see there's a few cards here. I just want to make sure you get your 3 minutes.
Okay,
So-
I'll give my rest to Chuck.
is that allowed? I could think she was just passing the remaining moments to me. I just wanted to thank you for this opportunity as our governing board to look at this issue. The hours, we've been advertising, the district has been advertising for many years to hire more drivers. And because of the limited hours and the limited pay, people aren't coming here. I mean, we are losing people, 4 in the last 2 years, just because they had to go somewhere else for more hours and more pay, and they haven't been replaced. So we've got a good teacher and trainer, we've got a good department, but we are thin. Right now, we're doubling up work every day. It changes frequently because we're understaffed. So I personally, as a driver, am late every morning. I'm bringing kids to school late every day. So thank you.
Susana Camacho.
Sí. Hi, my name is Susana Camacho. I am a bus driver. And yes, we're struggling because I have 5.5 hours. I have a mortgage of almost $4,000. You think I'm gonna pay with 5 hours, $4,000 mortgage, plus my kids? I love bus driving. I love the kids, but yes, we do need more hours. That's all I gotta say.
Thank you.
And another thing is that we have our mechanics driving our routes doing bus driving. We have our dispatch driving, and we have our director driving. When those should be to us, those hours should be for us. And they're taking our hours as well because we're shorthanded. And we need to fix that. We really need to fix that.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
Next, we have Cole Loya speaking on the superintendent search.
Good evening. Good evening. My name is Cole Loya. I'd like to thank the board for this opportunity to speak about your current search for the superintendent position. I understand that this decision is very important and many families and students will be affected by your decision. With this, I would like to say I'm here to support Mr. Clements for the possibility of an interview for this position. I met Mr. Clements in the summer of 2018. At first, Mr. Clements just seemed like every other teacher. They say they care and want you to succeed. But Mr. Clements did not just say these words, he made sure I did. He got to know me, and after a little time, he was more than a teacher, he was a mentor. He was always asking how I was. He would check in constantly, share both job and career opportunities that thought I would be interested in. He would talk sports, skateboarding, my work at Delmar Fairgrounds. But more importantly, he listened to me as a teacher, especially in social sciences. He can't find a better teacher for superintendent. He is a person that puts students first. To him, it doesn't matter what background it is or where you come from. He makes sure students are put first. He ensures their learning. He finds and explains, collaborates with other staff to make sure and clear a pathway it established for his students to follow. These traits can easily be applied to leadership positions at all levels in schools, from teachers to superintendent. He can bring staff, parents, students together to work for the best outcome for all parties. Right now, his students are very lucky to have him in their lives. This district would thrive under his student first leadership. With that, I would like to thank the board to please consider Mr. Clements for an interview for this very important position. Thank you.
Next, we have Frank Golbeck. And superintendent search.
Good evening, board. My name is Frank Golbeck. I'm a father of three, 10, 8, 6, 4th grade, 2nd grade, kindergarten are all at May Ellis. Also a small business owner and a veteran, and grateful for the work that you guys do for our community, juggling a lot of competing demands to make our wonderful schools work. May Ellis is a wonderful place to send our kids. We are so grateful for the teachers there, the administrators there, the whole community that May Ellis represents. And the opportunity that my girls have to learn in 2 languages every day is unsurpassed. We didn't know that such opportunities existed. And when we found out about it, our children just took off and started thriving, and they speak Spanish way better than me or my wife. And it is a joy to watch them do it and teach us. So as you search for this superintendent, my wife and I feel it's important that we let you guys know how wonderful it would be to have a superintendent who understood the value of dual language immersion education, and ideally was bilingual themselves. We have such a diverse community, and having a superintendent who understood the reality of a bilingual family, we think would be a great opportunity to increase that sense of community here in Fallbrook. So that was what we wanted to say. And just a quick show of hands, how many parents are in the audience tonight? So, you know, we parents, we have a lot of skin in this game, and we hope that as you consider the superintendent search, that the voices of the parents are really heard loud and clear. So thank you for your work and good luck in this search. Cheers.
Next, we have Leticia Maldonado Stamos. Thank you. And that brings us to Sandy Forrest.
I just registered so that she would have more time, but I might speak to that. I did too.
We have Mike Stein next. Recommendation.
Good evening. I appreciate the opportunity to address you guys tonight. I spent 26 plus years in the Marine Corps, bouncing around all over the world, and ran into the Friendly Village here somehow by accident, and just fell in love with the place. My youngest son he attends Fallbrook High School now, but he came through the Fallbrook Elementary School system, and he just loved his experience here. And I also have a 3-year-old grandson who will be attending here very soon, and hopefully another grandchild on the way. So looking forward to great things out of the Fallbrook Elementary School districts, and we really appreciate everything you guys do. And really, I wanted to let you guys know during all these travels, I came in contact with Chris Clements and got to know him pretty well, and just wanted to come in here tonight to lend my support to his candidacy for the superintendent position, because I know his care as a teacher. And I know how important it is that any educational environment, the teachers are the key to everything, because he's been a teacher. He knows what teachers need, and I feel like he could really do a great job. So I just wanted to come and lend my support and ask that you guys interview him and talk with him about what he could do for your district here. Thanks a lot.
Next, we have Judy Willis.
Thank you. And I just want to say thank you to the bus drivers. I could not do your job. You're amazing. Good evening. I know I've talked to you guys several times before, but a lot of you don't know a lot about me, so I wanted to share stuff before I make a request. I'm an educator and I'm a single mom of a child with an IEP with a 60-hour minimum work week with children who live in Fallbrook and who has worked at every school in this district, formerly as a sub. And also whom before her son was born, as she was subbing with him in her womb, had greatly considered trying to enroll her son in the dual immersion program at May Ellis. I'm glad you like it so much. As an English speaker, desiring to be diverse and learn another beautiful language and culture, as well as regularly hears from multiple flat families with multiple children in this district schools. And so I'm kind of here speaking on behalf of them as well, because they can't make it for various reasons, but they truly care. My apologies that I haven't been blessed with the luxury of flexible time and energy to volunteer at the schools, as many working families dearly wish they could. And therefore, we hope, because some other families have sadly requested differently, we hope you won't minimize, marginalize, or give less priority to our voices just because we aren't already at, just because we can't volunteer. Because we are already at a disadvantage in our ability to access building deeper relationships with the schools due to our work. But rather, I hope the board will seek out all the harder to remove obstacles to communication and understand working families' concerns, needs, and desires for their children's education. That being said, I stand before you today to share that Fallbrook is very blessed to have one such working family who has lived in Fallbrook most of their lives and is so diverse and rich with relationships here and an understanding of the pulse of this community, with also a lengthy background in education and how to make it even better in our schools, that this family is willing to allow their husband and their father to step up and serve our schools if the board deems he would be the best fit. I come to speak on behalf of Christopher Clements to apply for the position of superintendent. He has happily and successfully been teaching for almost 15 years and therefore understands firsthand the heart and needs of the teachers and their students to be successful. He grew up, better yet, he grew up going to school in both Fallbrook Elementary and high school districts, except for a short stint to Connecticut due to his father's military assignment, and has also coached football here. He is a teacher of modest means, family who married into a Latino family, so his wife speaks Spanish, and currently has two beautiful multiracial children who would be eligible to attend the schools he could possibly oversee, along with the many nieces and nephews who already do. One of them's sitting there. As you can see, he can relate to just about every subculture, from low income to Latino to military and beyond in our community. He has real skin in the game to ensure incredible success in our students and brings deep personal relationships and a true love of the families of Fallbrook to the table, making him already easily approachable and comfortable to speak with by parents and staff if ever needed. The important assets he brings could take an outsider years to build. He understands how to successfully negotiate with unions and deal with bonds. He would be here for the right reasons, because he has the ability to lead our schools well. And most importantly, he truly loves the community and understands education. He would welcome the accountability of having some of his pay tied to his performance, and his pay is not what would keep him here, unlike past superintendents, but rather his heartfelt love of the community that would give our schools stability for years to come with a quality leader. He has helped pioneer an in-person and virtual charter school where he had to fill in for many high administrative roles in the beginning while teaching until they were able to hire. While he may not have some of the credentials and titles that some of you may be looking for in an applicant, he has the skills, the experience, and the knowledge to do the superintendent position very well. I would submit that if we looked at our district history of all the other superintendents who have had those credentials and titles, sadly, they have failed to guarantee our children a better education, with testing scores often ranging in the 30s to 40s, nor did they often truly have respect for informed parent consent. Rather, for example, the most recent superintendent's education experience led her to threaten a multi-million-dollar lawsuit. Clearly, protecting those funds meant for our kids was not foremost on her heart, with all her fancy titles and credentials, that should have conveyed to her this is a job of service to the community and the children come first, not her side businesses, career, or wealth building. So I would submit that the heart of the person for our kids, staff, and community, their values on focusing on succeeding in basic skills of education first, like reading, writing, and math, and their skill set to do the job of superintendent are far more important than any pedagogy. And while the three can sometimes be found in one person, like possibly our HR assistant superintendent, Brian Morris, who may be another good choice, I would reconsider the emphasis as educators we tend to put on credentials and titles when it comes to Mr. Christopher Clements, as he would be a fantastic exception to the rule. Therefore, I humbly request for the sake of our children, whom many he already knows, if I can just have my minutes. I'm almost done.
Given 6 minutes to speak.
Oh, can I have Paul's?
Done.
And I just need like one more minute. I'm almost finished. Last sentence.
A lot of people waiting to
We'll
speak.
give you one more minute.
Thank you. Therefore, I humbly request for the sake of our children, whom many he already knows and loves, that you would grant him an interview to show you all he is capable of doing to improve Fallbrook Elementary's areas of need and build upon our district's many strengths. Thank you. And I also ask for virtual. Thank you.
Okay, next we have Mel Savindra. Sorry, I can't pronounce his name.
Good evening, board. Thank you for allowing me the opportunity to speak. Thanks for your service to the community. My name is Mel Svensson. I'm the lead pastor at Riverview Church, right in Bonzel, with about 1,000 people, many of whom live and work in Fallbrook and love our town, love our schools. I'm here also to speak as an endorsement for Christopher Clements as superintendent of schools. In my past, I was at Trinity International University as senior vice president for 15 years, serving there, also studied at the doctoral level in education. Didn't quite complete my doctorate, but I've been exposed to many educational teachers, instructors. I've been exposed to educational theories and practices. And I've had numerous discussions with Christopher, and I find him to be sharp. He knows his approach to education. He has wonderful experience, collaborative person, not only, an educational philosophy as something that's important, but also a leadership philosophy. I had him come out and speak to our leaders at the church and share his philosophy. We asked him tough questions. He had very pragmatic, very positive answers to the challenges that virtually every school district faces. And I have become a person that is super impressed with Christopher. And I would like to give my endorsement to you humbly as a person that sees in Chris great potential. He has a sharp mind. He's a thinker, works well with people, discusses issues in a collaborative way, and I think would be an excellent leader for this Fallbrook School District. So thank you for allowing me to share.
Next we have Olivia Tate.
Good evening. Dear school board members and directors, my name is Olivia Tate. I write this letter as a recommendation for Mr. Clements. I am a former student at Innovation High School. I want everyone to know how respected and valued Mr. Clements is as a teacher and a role model for students as well as myself. Mr. Clements is one of the most dedicated and passionate teachers I have ever met. He understands student struggles and finds ways to take on challenges that students face and turn them into opportunities to overcome. I have always valued having the pleasure to have him as one of my mentors, especially with the amount of extra support I needed through school because of my IEP and learning disabilities. He has shown me leadership and ways to open up more as a person, which led me to graduate, which I never thought I'd get there. He made me feel like I wasn't just an everyday student at school by making me and several other students feel like we're all important. This drove me to care about my assignments more and the work I was doing. He proves he cares how important education is and student support. I think Mr. Clemens can bring a different perspective to an elementary school level. And with this new position opportunity, he can show his experience and abilities to give elementary students the best chance possible to be successful and to have a supportive and positive environment at school. Whether is it a question regarding homework or the need for a motivational push, Mr. Clemens has never failed me or his students. For these reasons, I recommend Mr. Clemens for the superintendent position, as I believe he would be an incredible asset, mentor to students, and leader to your guys' team. Thank you for your time.
Next speaker, we have Chris Clements.
Good evening. I've been fortunate enough to have a number of individuals endorse me this evening. I've spoken to you before as what you would like to see brought to this district. And I've sat here and I've listened to some of the challenges, the obstacles that are facing our students. And my daughter sits here. She's scheduled to go to Live Oak School. I went to Live Oak School. My father went to Mayella School. I'm the third generation Fallbrook. I've coached here. I grew up here. My daughter plays literally across the street with her T-ball team. My nephew was over there this afternoon when you guys started your board meeting. You used to go to the high school and you could see my father's banners, my uncle's banners, and my picture still hangs in the high school gym. I am as Fallbrook as you can get. I'm as local as you can get, which means I didn't get away with anything growing up in Fallbrook because it is a small town. And I love that aspect about Fallbrook. This is the school district that educated me and gave me the foundation to make me the person I am today. I didn't have the best awards growing up through the district. I wasn't a principal's list. I wasn't honor roll. I wasn't there for best attendance. 4th, 5th, and 6th grade. Mrs. Cole, Mrs. Colby, and Mrs. Dixon. I got most improved. That was the best I got from this district when it comes to awards. But what I got was the push that I needed from administration, but more importantly from my teachers. They saw potential and they kept pushing. And that has created the person that stands before you today. Somebody that understands what it's like to be the not so good student, the lazy student, the student that was there between practices, because that's what I was. And that has allowed me to understand a lot of the students that I have today and the students that I've had in the past. My wife is Hispanic. She was an immigrant from Mexico City. She came in with her 5 brothers and sisters here, and they have 9 nieces and nephews from the ages of 20 all the way down to junior high. So when it comes to dual immersion, they have been in it themselves, or my nieces and nephews have been in it. When it comes to being an EL learner, they have been through it. And I've had lots of conversations with my brother and sister-in-laws about the EL and the struggles that they go through. So I understand that community. I understand the military community. I was a military brat. I was a naval brat. Half my friends went to Camp Pendleton. The only reason that they came together is because the high school was the only thing that was available other than Oceanside. So when it comes to understanding the community, understanding our students, understanding the opportunity and the struggles or opportunities, I'm lucky enough to have those. So for your consideration, I'm just asking for an interview. Thank you.
Next, we have Matt Ortiz.
Good evening, everybody. My name is Matt Ortiz, and I'm speaking to you all as a parent. And it is my honor, my privilege to speak on behalf of Christopher Clements, aka Mr. C. And my family and I first met Mr. C when we lived in Escondido. and he and his family have become dear to me and mine. My daughter has gotten to know his young daughter, and they've attended my son's wedding, and he has had a profound impact on both of my children. I've since moved down to Imperial Beach, AKA Northern Mexico. And I drove all the way up here when I found there was an opportunity to make a request that he be given the opportunity, be granted an opportunity to interview for superintendent. Both my son and Dakota, my son Dakota and my daughter Victoria have known them as their teacher, and he's been a gift to our entire family. And when our kids were in school, on a personal note, our family had our lives flipped upside down. My wife suffered from a stroke, then one debilitating illness after another, and a horrific accident that put her in the hospital even longer. On top of all of that, our family got displaced when we lost our condo and most of our belongings. So you can imagine the challenges that presented for our kids and their schooling. It was demoralizing for them, and as parents, we just did not know what to do. Then we met Mr. C. He was helpful from the start. He was reassuring from the start. He was a problem solver, and he was good with people. Usually you're one or the other. He leveraged all of his time and talent he had to meet my kids where they were and help them graduate. And when my son graduated, he thanked Mr. C for being the best teacher he's ever had. And my daughter and I were reminiscing, and she said something that stood out to me. She said, "Dad, Mr. C never gave up on me." Now, we're just one family. Mr. C used whatever resources available to make sure all of the students were successful and all of the parents were supported. And that required resourcefulness and big picture thinking, collaboration with other teachers and other facility to coordinate the best strategy possible. And it required servant leadership so they could all work together for the sake of the students and the parents and the success of the school in general. So all that to say this, Mr. C is the superintendent you're looking for. Much love and respect, Mr. C. Thank you, everybody.
Here we have Eric Farwell. Agenda item.
Good evening. I appreciate a few moments of your time to also, it's a privilege to share some thoughts about Mr. Clements and his potential candidacy for superintendent for your school district. Just a little background of myself, 23 years, retired law enforcement. I worked in South Bay. I worked for the county as well. I was a school resource officer for 3 years, and I also worked as an investigative supervisor at juvenile hall and the juvenile court system near Rady's Children's Hospital. So I've also raised 3 children. My youngest is here, and you might get to meet him this evening for a few moments himself to share some thoughts he may have. But needless to say, my background as a parent and as a law enforcement working with school districts and teachers, administrators, is that we all know those people in our districts that really can make an impact on students. We all know them. If we think back a few decades of our own experiences, I can name off a couple of coaches that saved my life and were embedded in and engaged in my life. And I just want to speak publicly to say that Mr. Clements is definitely that one for my youngest son, Rylan. So Rylan's been through 7 schools throughout his academic career. And when we got to Innovation High School in Escondido, graduation was looking pretty bleak, and we weren't sure he was going to make it. And through the last 2 years working with Mr. Clements, we see graduation coming in a couple of months, and we're excited about that. It's just a blessing. But we have to give all the credit to Mr. Clements and his investment in our family. As a haggard, stressed out, anxiety-ridden father trying to figure out how my son was going to complete the finish line of high school, we walked into Innovation and immediately felt trust and felt we were in good hands. Every time we've ever made a phone call or an email, we've gotten immediate responses with updates on how his credits are coming along. He's actually made the honor roll. And so for the first time, he's enjoying academic success. And it's really going to propel him to the next future when he graduates and what he wants to dream to accomplish out of high school. So I know every family here can share my sentiments, but they're really, really genuine and they're truly in gratitude for his work and for his commitment to the students. And if you think about it, if he can touch one family in one classroom, think about the multiple classrooms, multiple campuses that he can also have an effect on. And I believe your elementary district would be blessed by his efforts and by his involvement as superintendent. So I definitely professionally and personally would endorse him, and I wish him the very best in this endeavor. Thank you.
Rylan Farwell.
Good evening. Good evening, board. I'm here to talk on behalf of Christopher Clemens as well. At the moment, I am a student of his, and I became a student of his in early 2022. I came to him struggling a lot because of COVID-19 affected a lot of my schooling. I was a freshman when it hit, and it made me online for 2.5 years. And I was projected to graduate in 2025 if I didn't meet Mr. Clemens. And from meeting him, he brought a motivation to me and brought a different perspective on school. It really changed me as a person, and it helped me really get across that finish line that I'm still struggling to get by, but I'm there. I'm finally able to say I'm here because of what Christopher Clemens has done. And if he can do that for more students, then that's a blessing. And I believe that he's the perfect person for the superintendent role if that's a possibility. Thank you.
Next we have Gilbert Jimenez.
He had to go home sick.
Next comments are for board operations and item 3. For now.
Thank you. All right, so we will now turn to reports from the board. Ms. Sabal.
Good evening. I had the pleasure of visiting a couple of our campuses, and it was very nice to get on board with them and talk to the principals and the kids. It was a very enjoyable trip. We also did, my family, the Fallbrook Community Center held a pancake breakfast. We went to that. They had the breakfast. They had the Easter Bunny there. They took pictures. They had different stations for the kids to do different arts and crafts. It was fantastic. I would tell anybody to go to it next year. Also, I was a guest reader at Fallbrook Alear May Alice School this Saturday. It was a lot of fun. The kids were very enjoyable. I had a couple of little girls. I have to say, I got myself in a situation. I picked up a book that was in Spanish. And I don't read Spanish, unfortunately, but these two little sweethearts said, "We'll read to you." So instead of me reading the book to them, they read the book to me, and it was wonderful. I loved it. And that's about all.
I love your story.
They were so sweet. It's like, oh my gosh.
We can learn so much from our kids. Every time I meet our kids, I'm thinking, I want to meet more. You guys are so darn smart. I want to give a special thanks to all the parents who've come out tonight to talk about the superintendent search. As someone said, you do have skin in the game, and we appreciate your taking the time to join us and share your perspectives. We also appreciate the community members who've come out. You take time out of your busy schedules, and we appreciate hearing what you have to say as well. I'd like to congratulate the organizers and volunteers and district staff who produced the Fallbrook Alear event. It is probably one of the most remarkable things that happens in Fallbrook each year. And it's a testament to the leadership of a team of folks who give so selflessly of their time, and our district staff who work really hard to help coordinate it from this end, as well as our team at Mayales. So congratulations on that. And lastly, I am looking forward to this Saturday's Don Dornan games. If you haven't been there yet, I went for the first time last year, and it was just the most uplifting, fun event. And kudos to everybody who's been working on it. Lisa, thank you for, where's Lisa? She was here a minute ago. There you are, Lisa. I knew you were in that aisle there, and I'm looking at the wrong person. But Lisa, thank you for all your work. And also Dr. Hussein, I know it's under your department. So looking forward to Saturday. I hope everybody can come out for that.
All right, well, yeah, it's been a busy few weeks. It seems like it's been a while since we've had a board meeting, but there's been a lot going on. I had a chance to do a few school site visits. I visited at Fallbrook STEM, La Paloma, and Mayales, and also had a chance to visit Santa Margarita Academy, really for the first time since I've been a board member. So I really appreciate that visit. And it's another one of our schools. And so it's been a great experience. One of my takeaways has been learning about the Orton Gillingham small group instruction, just the strategies for teaching. I was really impressed by the method, and I learned a few things. But so really glad to see how innovative our teachers are, and the curriculum that's being provided, how it's being shown to be showing results for these new innovative strategies. Also had a chance to go to Mayales's Leadership Day. It was a tremendous event. I've never seen a Leadership Day event at our schools. I know it was one at San Onofre as well, but I was very impressed, really appreciated how our schools were showcasing what we have to offer. Really appreciated the students who showed us around the campus, gave us a tour as well. It was really a great event. So thank you for putting that together. Really glad to see the community turn out and participate and see what all the great things that are happening at our schools. And I also had a chance to attend Fallbrook Allier. It was really great to see the event in person again after you know, coming out of the COVID era, I guess the COVID days. So I know a lot of students and parents. My kids were excited to participate. My son had a soccer game in the middle of that, and he said, "Next year, Papi, can I not go to my soccer game? I really want to go to Fallbrook Allier." So kudos, congratulations to all the staff that put it together. This was the 19th year. Next year is the 20th year. I think we really have to commemorate that, and you know, go all out with that next year as well. So thank you very much. That's it for me.
So I had the honor to attend the North Coastal Consortium for Special Ed. So they call it NESSE for short. And that was really very educational. And we got to vote on some things that I learned a lot. There was a lot there to learn. Then I got to participate in a virtual training that was provided by the CSBA. Again, I took lots of notes. I'm a note taker, and everyone here knows I have multiple notebooks. I am just a note taker. Then last Saturday, it was a pleasure to attend the Allier Cesar Chavez event. I also got to be a guest reader, and I just thought it was an excellent turnout. So congratulations to the staff and the volunteers. Also, I agree. It was very well attended and very well planned and orchestrated, and everyone was having such a great time. So and that's about it for me.
And I attended the Girls STEM event, which was hosted by Dr. Husing. I cannot tell you what a pleasure it was to be in that room with what I call, they were young ladies. They were not girls, they were women. They were young ladies. I can't recall a time when I've been to an event where the behavior was so spectacularly on par. I mean, you talk about herding cats. We took a group picture, which you've probably seen. They just fell right in to take the picture. They were so enthusiastic and energetic and polite and respectful. And it's a testament to all the parents for doing such a wonderful job that there wasn't anybody who had a bad anything to say, which and to Dr. Husing's credit, that it was such a well-attended event. And I was privileged to have been asked, and I very much enjoyed spending my day there. And I will also be spending my Saturday with Ms. Lindeen to now see what that event entails. And I'm looking forward to that. I'm not a track person, although I did do whatever you want to call it, high jump or something when I was until you lay on the wrong way and you go, no, I'm not doing that anymore. So I'm gonna watch the youngins do their thing and I'm just gonna politely do mine. So thank you. And with that, we will have the report from the interim superintendent and I will turn it over to Mrs. Martin.
Well, thank you so much. As you've all mentioned, we've had a lot of exciting events going on the past few weeks. Here with me are two students from our Infused Student Advisory Council who have sat patiently through what is a learning lesson in what happens at board meetings. So I appreciate that. We have Isabel Hall, who's a second grader. We have Liam Roach, who is in fifth grade. I'd also just quickly like to introduce Mrs. Erica Rainey, the principal of Fraser, and Mrs. Megan Schinner, the assistant principal. We had the Pledge of Allegiance led so beautifully by Isabel, and now Liam will introduce this month's highlight video. He was here early, so he's been sitting patiently for extra long.
Good evening. My name is Liam and I'm a fifth grader at William H. Fraser. I'm excited to share a few great moments from our Fallbrook Elementary schools with our students and staff. You will see the girls in the STEM event at California State University, San Marcos, the Fallbrook Music Society at Live Oak Elementary, the Spring Arts Camp with after school, Ancient Days at Live Oak Elementary, Child Nutrition Services First Student Farmers Market. Enjoy.
I want to thank Isabel and Liam and all of the students in our district. I am so proud to be your interim superintendent, and I thank you for reminding us all why we're here. So we're gonna give you your awards and let you take pictures with the board members and in front of your name plaques there. Okay. Right around there. Our students were also able to participate in the superintendent search. So the search firm met with the Student Advisory Council to ask the qualities they thought were important, the challenges that lay ahead, and the great things that happen in our district. So pretty cool. I'll get the picture.
All right, parents, you guys go first.
There, no worries.
Thank you, guys. Thank you for your hard work.
All right, and this one's for the website. So
Big smile.
Awesome, thank you.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you very much.
Yay, students. Liam, wait, you don't want a copy of my report?
Thank you, guys, for your.
You're good to go. Thank you. Have a great evening. I will see you tomorrow. You guys have a great night. Thank you. Bye, Isabella.
Thank
Say hi to
you.
Lucy for me, okay? Awesome.
My pleasure.
Squirrel. There you go. Each other. Okay, so now we're to the next. That was it for me.
Okay, that was short and sweet.
Have some comments for this one.
All right, so the next item is board operations. Action out-of-state travel, Washington DC, CSBA, ACSA 2023 Coast to Coast Federal Advocacy Trip. The recommendation, it is recommended the governing board approve the request for board president, Dr. Stacy McCray, to travel to Washington DC from April 22 to 27, 2023 to attend the CSBA and ACSA 2023 Coast to Coast Federal Advocacy Trip. So do I have a motion to approve the travel request?
We have speakers.
Oh, we have comments first. Okay, all right.
Leticia Maldonado, estamos.
Thank you. Excuse my late arrival. I'm speaking on agenda item under board operations. And while I am all for training of new board members so that might be more aware of what our students need, for all of you to approve a nearly $10,000 expenditure for a new board member, Dr. McRae, president or not, to fly to Washington, DC for 5 days and essentially pay her salary while she takes time away from work to do so is completely unacceptable. My questions are, how many Fallbrook schools has she visited? How many local events and meetings has she attended? How many parents has she met with? Is there more that can be accomplished for our students by becoming familiar with California student advocacy issues instead of flying off to the nation's capital for 4 days and 5 nights? What exactly is FUESD going to gain from her attending this meeting? What is the objective? How will this district benefit? Will Ms. Martin be going with her? What is she going to advocate for? And this could go for any of you. She wants to serve this community as a board member, and that is an unpaid service, and for that we thank you. But this district shouldn't even be considering paying her employer for her to fulfill this elected duty for which she chose to seek. She should be using her own vacation and personal time days for this. And the $3,163 plus for school business time and benefits payable to the Hemet School District is completely out of line. Those are expenses paid for her to serve her own employer, Hemet, not Fallbrook. I suggest that this board take a hard look at these sorts of requests and dissect them thoroughly. This is an expense that is unnecessary and frankly, fiscally irresponsible. I urge the board not to consider this request, and clearly Dr. McRae should pull this request. Thank you.
Next we have Sandy Forrest.
I just want to second what Mrs. Maldonado Stamos said. I was surprised that we do have people on the board, particularly a president of the board, who has a full-time job outside of Fallbrook, which is fine, but this is a big job. If I were still employed full-time and I wanted to go to some other volunteer organization and serve in an executive capacity, that's between me and my employer. I have to ask my employer. They don't have to support me at all. If I'm doing something outside my paid job, that's my responsibility. And that's your responsibility. If you want to do that, if you want to be president of the board while you're teaching full-time, fine. But we shouldn't pay a dime. I've had to do things like that. I had to pay the sub out of my own pocket or use personal days. Also, my aunt drove a school bus for years in Ohio and Kansas. And there are a lot of people who work in this district. I saw so many at Fallbrook-Alaire. There are a lot of positions that are part-time positions, and you have to have someone who lives in town to fulfill those positions. People working in food service or bus drivers or those types of capacities, classroom aides, they're not going to drive up from Vista or Oceanside to work for 4 hours in Fallbrook. We have to support people who live here and are willing to come and go. You have to support your local people. And when we were crying for substitutes, they raised the substitute pay plenty because they couldn't get enough subs. And the substitute pay is almost doubled from when I was still teaching full-time. And if we don't have enough bus drivers, then find the money to hire more or pay them more to keep them. But these are Fallbrook people. You're not going to bring in people from outside for that kind of a job. Rosa, who spoke earlier, she came and emptied my waste baskets at Potter for years when she was undergoing chemotherapy for cancer. And then she was also driving the bus. I've known Rosa for 25 years. And you are not going to get harder working people. They love what they do. And if they need the money, then find it. Hire more people. Give them a raise. They stay around because they love this town. They love the kids. And frankly, you could not pay me enough to drive one of those big school buses. I mean, that is a really scary job. And they're highly trained. They stick around. Find the money. Give them a raise. And you take care of your travel expenses yourself. And you need to be in the classroom more. And if you can't arrange that with your district, that's your issue, not ours.
One more, we have Susan Levis.
Good evening, board and cabinet. I'm also here tonight to encourage the board to vote against these travel funds. It's important for you all to connect with our federal representatives, but there's a much cheaper way to do that. For the last 3 years, CSBA has conducted this advocacy event over Zoom. And I know last year there were several board members who were able to meet with all of our congressional representatives at no cost to the district. If this is something that CSBA isn't doing anymore, then I encourage you to advocate with them to provide a cheaper option, because, if every school district in California is doing this, that's, I don't even know how much money is being wasted of taxpayer and student dollars. And as the other speakers pointed out, almost half of the money is going to Hemet School District. So if it does have to be done in person, maybe one of the other board members who are retired could make the trip, so that it would be much less costly to our district. I didn't say, but I'm a parent of a student at Potter Junior High, and we're very happy with our school. Thank you.
And that's it for item.
Okay. So do I have a motion to approve the travel request?
Yeah. Go to comments and address it.
Someone needs to make a motion for something. So if it's not this
Discussion
motion
to discuss.
yeah. So
Okay, so
somebody
do I
needs to
have a
make
motion to discuss the action for out-of-state travel.
I motion we discuss it.
Thank you. Do I have a second?
Second.
Thank you. Thank you. Okay, question, there's questions and discussion, so. Who would like to start? I think Mr. Philly, you said you had questions.
Sure, I have questions, definitely. Well, I think it's valuable. I think lobbying with the CSBA for our schools, I think it's definitely important. I think I always support any opportunities for us to get involved and learn and be trained on how to do this. However, I'm concerned with the proposal as it's being made. I would have liked to have seen the invitation extended to the rest of our board.
It was.
And also some of our cabinet members who can know our district very well. And, you know, I've lobbied before on different issues, and we lobby as a team. We have key messengers. So it's definitely a collective effort. And that's what I'd like to have seen in this proposal. So I'm not necessarily opposed to attending, but I would like to have seen a better structured proposal. I am concerned about paying Hemet School District for you know, the costs here. I've never seen that before. So I would like some more clarification on that.
I always think that professional development is important for all of us as board members. And certainly learning how to be lobbyists and advocate for the schools and the district and educational issues that are common not only in California, but nationally. I have to confess, have a bit of a difficulty with the budget on this one. I do think there are other ways to perhaps accomplish this. And I understand why Hemet might want to be paid, but I too had that feeling of that's a lot, that's $1,000 a day. And I know it's not you that has rated the requirement for that, but this seemed like a lot to spend for something that would have, you know, a lot of other people talking nationally, not so much about our specific community. And so I think we might want to explore opportunities to talk to congressional representatives in, you know, in this community. And I think having heard you speak, you'd be amazingly good at it. But I was a little concerned about this expenditure.
I too think the cost of the request far exceeds the return that would be received. And I find it unnecessary and not in the best interest of the school district's use of school funds to sponsor this.
Do we have further discussion? Okay, I also want to let the public know this was something that was, everybody who's on a school board was invited to attend this. So there was nobody that could be excluded. I do know there are multiple districts that are sending at least half of their boards to this, which is why I considered it to be an excellent opportunity to go network with the other people from the other school districts, because they are much larger, obviously, and we are going to be going there as a united front to basically, there's a lot of bills that are coming through right now. They are not children friendly. They are not education friendly. They are not teacher friendly. They are not district friendly. And going as a unified front, many of us already do speak to a lot of the local leaders and the national leaders, but this was a way that we're all going to be gathered together so that we can help bring input. So I thought it was highly beneficial for Fallbrook for someone to attend. Others could have attended with me if they so chose. It was not something that they could not have gone to if they wanted to. So I do know that there are many districts that are sending half of their boards. So I'm sure the cost is comparable for them to send their 3 or 4 people that they're, well, I can only send 3. So they're sending 3. So their cost is probably exceeding what this is as well. And I will welcome questions if people would like to ask, please do.
And Mrs. Martin was not going.
Yeah, although she was invited as well, but yes, she was not attending. I felt it just very important for us to have a voice there because we are going to be able to meet with key legislators who are some of the authors of these very atrocious bills that are coming up that I've already seen some of them.
For explaining that, and clarifying that as well. So has there been instances where we paid another entity for a board member's time?
I won't limit it to a board member. What I'll say is that there are instances that we have paid the substitute cost with another district. If there were arrangements where one of their teachers was coming to provide professional development to our district, so basically so that a school district wouldn't be out any money. So that if Dr. McCray was to attend, there would need to be a substitute teacher for him. And if we didn't pay the substitute costs, then there would be a cost to them. The other part of it, the school business part, we have not done. So that would be different. But it's, our board policy is that since it's out of state, that it come to the board for approval. And that's why the costs are all broken out there so that the board could see as well. So again, we have had instances where we paid the substitute teacher cost to another district. We do, like with Nixie, the organization that Mary had attended through the county office. So there is that practice, but
Not for me.
I
I just find another employee to take my spot and she gets paid
Right.
for my hours.
Well, I looked at this like, I guess I'm in a unique situation that's kind of uncharted territory that we're looking at. So, and I did discuss it with Mrs. Martin that there would not be any future trips that I would take that would fall under this category. Since this is a discussion, would it be something to be considered if we took the expense down by half in regards to Hemet paying part of the 3,000 if we could arrange it with them?
Is that for the substitute teacher?
No, for the school business time.
And I wanted to ask you, I was trying to raise my hand. Could you tell us what is the school business time? What does that entail?
so what that entails is that so that Dr. McCray wouldn't use her own paid leave time, be it sick leave, PN, vacation, whatever Hemet offers. That basically this is paying the district so that there's a category called school business. Typically, the school business is school business for your own school district. So when I go on a conference someplace, I'm using school business. I'm not using my own sick or vacation time. If it's district required or district business. This would be school business where Hemet is basically saying it's not our school business.
Although they will benefit from it in some
Right,
way,
but that's
but-
where, so it's basically so that she wouldn't use her own personal necessity, personal sick leave, I don't know the banks that Hemet has of leave time. That's what that is.
I do feel it's a very important step for Fallbrook to allow them to have a voice there, but I'm one of 5.
Question. Dr. McCray, what do you think the chances would be? I know Hemet may not have thought about this as being an event that benefits them, but clearly you're going with 2 hats on, which is a good thing because you work for the Hemet district and they have, I'm sure they are touched by a lot of the issues that will be coming up. If they would be willing to absorb the almost 3,200 in school business costs and maybe even pay half of the substitute teacher cost, that brings this down to 4,000, which is, I think, something that there could be maybe support for on the board.
It would be worth pursuing for sure.
I think that the 8,300 is what everybody's struggling with, but I think 4,000 is something makes sense. Airfare, I mean, hotel. So that would just be a thought on my part.
Okay.
What do you think? Yeah.
Has anybody else from the cabinet expressed interest or?
I don't know. No, I'll actually be in San Jose. It won't cost $8,200. Finishing up the superintendent academy. So I wouldn't be available during that time anyways. What I would say is that based on whatever your discussion is, this is next week. Right? Saturday. So yeah, start Saturday. So if you want to approve the travel with a not to exceed amount of, like you said, X number of dollars, you could do that. I just don't know. We don't have a lot of time and I can't speak for what it would or would it do. You know what I mean? That's all I'm saying. So, it has to be approved before going. And again, with not having a lot of time because this trip occurs on Saturday, that's about the best I could recommend other than not approving it. I mean, I don't know another way to do it if that's what the board chooses.
And I do know the cost is comparable for other people that are going. They are actually staying longer than I am staying as well in other districts. So it's actually exceeding like this is.
Well, this also says this is an estimated travel cost. How far off would we?
Typically we have about a 10%. Yeah, so that I can't say how much an Uber is to get, I don't know all of the details to get there. Mrs. Nguyen and I tried our best to estimate some things we know, like the per diem and the parking things we might know, but some of the others, I don't know how many trips back and forth or what it would be. So that's the part that is, when we say estimate. I know I checked at San Diego Airport because I'll be flying out of there and their Terminal 1 parking is closed. So I'm stuck with, so the estimate for parking could be something just on a different trip. But anyways, that's why it's an estimate. But again, if you had a not to exceed amount, and then it's left to, where certain, like with those parameters, certain things would be covered and then certain things would, like him, it's not going to get money from us. If that's the case, we need your authorization to be able to move forward. And so without it, then that's where we don't have the authorization to pay for any of it or to reimburse for any of it.
It starts on Saturday and ends on Thursday. Is that right?
The trip, I'm sorry. No, I'm just whatever you're.
I agree with Susan that if that could be brought down, it's just if that number is just high. And for me, the conflict has also been to have to pay a sub, for us to pay a sub, although I understand that that's how it works. It just makes it that much, several thousand.
Well, and I say that it doesn't have to, it works however the two districts agree to it work. The question was asked, have we ever paid another district for the cost of a sub? And I just wanted to be upfront and say we have. And for a board member, no. I don't think we've necessarily had a board member who is a current teacher working in another district where this would have ever come up. So this was more situations where it was a teacher and a teacher, from another district. So again, this is.
Let me ask another question. So do you get paid for the time you're left, you're gone, and the sub gets paid too for being there?
Well, that's how it works whenever we're not in the classroom. That's
Okay.
not anything different.
Okay.
That's not any.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I'm just asking. Yeah.
like if we took a day, that's how, yeah.
your suggestion could be a motion.
Well, if we were to back out the cost of the substitute teacher and the school business time and benefits for Hemet, it leaves about $4,400. I just don't want to put our board president in a position where she's got half of what she needs to go. But it might be something that you could use to get Hemet to say, okay, fine, we'll do this, but I'd be happy to make a motion that we support a not to exceed of say 4,400 for the trip. With Hemet providing the remainder that's necessary.
There's a motion on the floor already.
It was a motion to discuss.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. You're welcome.
I don't know if this is a dumb question or not, but is there a possibility that you would be willing, I mean, if that is the only thing that would be holding you back and you don't get the information in time from your school, would you be willing to pay the sub out of your?
Well, this, where it says for the sub, that's always something that would be covered when someone goes. So that would be part of, it's this part, which is what you're asking.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Just for clarification, the calculation I was using did not, the 4,400 did not include the substitute teacher. My thought was that it would be a request to Hemet to pick up the staffing cost for your classroom and eliminate the charge for school business time and benefits. Or, pay for it out of their general fund, just to be, but it would pay for the registration fee, the airfare, the hotel accommodations, the meals and expenses, and the parking and incidentals. We would need a second in order to discuss that motion.
I second that.
We can have discussion. If anybody. Or we can take a vote.
Or we can discuss anything anybody wants. I'm guessing this trip has never come up before. Okay, so
No,
because it's a trip that was extended to everyone throughout, all the school board members throughout the.
I think we've
country.
done, and Mrs. Levis would know because you were active as a board member lobbyist for us. Were there any trips to Sacramento or were they virtual primarily?
I believe it was in person before COVID, but I don't know how, when I expressed.
Really?
That is interesting because I know the other board members that are going from other districts, it's covered. And I don't know, this is uncharted territory for me as well, so I don't know.
I don't recall, and so what Mrs. Leibus is saying is probably true, because I don't recall that we've sent anyone to this. That doesn't mean we didn't. I just don't recall that we did. So if they did, it might have been on their own. Years ago, we had a board member who was on one of the state committees, and it was always a very, I won't say controversial, but it garnered much interest and discussion when it came to that board members travel for this purpose. So just providing the institutional knowledge of what's happened in the past.
So we need to take a vote.
Well, unless there's further discussion. Or clarification or questions.
Well, I would want to ask one thing, before we do take a vote, to ask you if you think if we passed such a motion, if you think it would then be possible for you to take the trip. Do you?
Yeah, that would be acceptable, and I'm sure Mrs. Martin would be amenable to reaching out to Kemet to find out. Not that
She
they'll
just
say
gave
yes,
a look like.
not that they'll say yes, and I can't speak. to
It
what
might
they'll
be
say.
good for you to reach out just because.
I can.
You know who to talk to
And I don't mind. I think, and maybe just, the logistics of it would be I would assume, because I'm gonna flip it to if it was this district. So a person is gone, there probably are people that do. I won't say they're on school boards, but are on, have other personal things that they do. And when they do that, I'm gonna assume they use their own personal necessity time to then go. If it involved missing work. And then when that happens, we pay for the sub, it comes out of their time. And there is no addition, there's no. So if that's gonna be this, I'm just assuming that would be the same process. Then if she's using her own paid leave time to go, then that's what pays for the substitute, and then there wouldn't be the need for the
Right.
district to pay for the sub. Now, I'm just talking about, and I'm looking at
Options.
Sheila, our payroll supervisor, kind of just like that, so there could be people now that are on boards or do activities or do whatever that go, and we wouldn't even know because
Right.
they're just
They
taking
use
their
personal
own
time.
time to do it. They go on the trip, we need a sub to cover them. And then, that kind of happens. So the talking to him at part, well, I don't mind. I mean, that's the logistics of what operationally, what would happen here. I would assume it would be the same way there. But
I guess the question would be if Hemet declined, would you want to take personal time to go, or just say, you know what, I've got the authorization, but I'm not gonna use
Well, I've
it?
already taken, yeah, and I've already taken personal time in the past for the other events, so. Like I said, this was uncharted territory of
Right,
how
yes.
this works, so
Yeah.
this is why we're transparent about what goes on, because if it was in state, we don't have to bring it before the board. So we don't like to hide things, but I just looked at it like this was an opportunity that was extended to all board members across the United States, whoever, wanted to throw their hat in the ring and say that they would like to attend. So, that being said. And so I said, yes, I would love to attend and go advocate, as part of Fallbrook District. Mr. Fred, you have a burning question?
No, I know there was a motion made, right? Yeah,
Yep.
I have no more to say, yeah.
Okay, so you would like to amend it to the motion to approve with Hemet paying for the two costs for the sub and the school business.
No, the motion that we made was to approve an amount not to exceed $4,400
okay.
for the trip. So it does not require any specific action for how the balance is made up. You could choose to use personal
Okay.
days, Hemet could choose to not
Okay.
charge.
Okay.
It just, provides the district staff the authorization to reimburse you for up to 4,400.
Okay.
And then, gives you the opportunity to decide what to do from there.
Okay.
Right, that's, yeah, okay.
Second.
Okay, so I'll call for the vote. Ms. Bell?
I'm gonna have to vote nay on this.
Okay, Ms. Lundin?
I'll vote aye.
Mr. Favela?
Aye.
Ms. McBride? And I'll abstain out of fairness to the board, so I still believe that passed with the amended motion. Okay.
And it wasn't an amended motion, it was a new motion.
A new motion,
just
sorry,
so
thank you
know.
so much,
It's a-
okay. All right, so that moves us to item number 2, request to bid. Number 406-23-24- professional legal services. The recommendation, it is recommended the governing board approve the district's request for proposals, RFPs, for professional legal services for the 2023-2024 school year. So do I have a motion to approve the bid for professional legal services?
I so move.
Thank you. Do I have a second?
I second.
Thank you. Do we have questions or discussion on the RFP?
So. Very timely, thank you.
All right, seeing no more discussion, I'll call for the vote. Ms. McBride? Aye. Mr. Favela?
Aye.
Ms. Lundin?
Aye.
And Ms. Sabal?
Aye.
And I vote aye as well, so motion passes. Okay, we are moving to the human resources action item number 1, declaration of need for fully qualified educators. The recommendation, it is recommended the governing board approve the declaration of need for fully qualified educators for the 2023-2024 school year. So do I have a motion to approve the declaration of need for fully qualified educators?
I motion.
Thank you. Do I have a second?
I second.
Thank you. Questions or discussion? Thank you. I'll call for the vote. Ms. Sabal?
Aye.
Ms. Lundin? Aye. Mr. Favela?
Aye.
Ms. McBride?
Aye.
And I vote aye as well, so motion passes. Moving to the action for probationary 2 to tenure status. The recommendation, it is recommended the governing board approve the following certificated employees completing their 2nd consecutive year of employment in a probationary position requiring certification for reelection. So forgive me, I have to read each number. Employees number 641-387, 639-851, 524-441, 641-335, 540-567, 613-784, 641-359, 641-412, 537-762, 635-631, 465-209, 640-435, 641-355, 641-405, 534-287. Do I have a motion to approve the probationary 2 to tenure status teachers? So moved. Thank you. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Thank you. I'll call for the vote. Mr. Favela?
Aye.
Ms. Lundin? Aye. Ms. McBride? Aye. Ms. Sabal?
Aye.
And I vote aye as well, so motion passes.
Congratulations.
Now
Yes,
tenured
that's
teachers, we
very
know what that,
exciting.
well, some of us know what that feels like, so yay, big day for them. Moving on to educational services, number 1, action, art, music, and instructional materials discretionary block grant 2022 expenditure plan. The recommendation, it is recommended the governing board approve the art, music, and instructional materials, AMIM, discretionary block grant 2022 expenditure plan. And I believe Dr. Fusing has a presentation for us. Thank
Yes,
you, Dr.
yes.
Fusing.
And good evening, board, board president, and my fellow colleagues on cabinet. So it's this time of year that we get to start talking about the money that's coming along for LCAP. And this is a new block grant that we're receiving. So for the first time, we're going to be presenting this block grant. But as I explain how we are receiving the money, I want you to understand how we're aligning this with our common priorities. So this is the art, music, and instructional materials block grant. And when we first heard about the block grant, we thought, oh, great, we can pay for all of the arts we need. The emphasis is on instructional materials. And you've heard Mrs. Martin explain that as a district, we really pool our resources to accomplish our larger goals. So as we go through, you'll see how the funding supports what we're doing so that it frees up the money to continue the great things we're doing for art and music while we are now supplying the instructional materials that are needed. So tonight we're going to be talking about $2,941,192. That's a lot of money. And it's a 4-year grant that we have to spend the money over those 4 years. So tonight we're going to talk about the purpose of the grant, how we plan to spend the funding, and the implementation timeline. Also that at the end of this presentation, you will feel comfortable approving the to spend the money this way. We actually already have the money, but we can't spend it until the plan is approved. And we waited to present the plan this evening, this time of the year, so that it lines up with the other things we're doing. It's a nice step into LCAP. And the way we're spending the money is aligned with the input that we heard in our LCAP meetings that we held at all the schools, as you know. So AMIM expenditures are outlined in Assembly Bill 181 and Assembly Bill 185. So 181 came first, and actually the grant was a lot larger, and then it was reduced by Assembly Bill 185 and further clarified. So the way we plan to spend and invest here in Fallbrook is to provide professional development and instructional materials, professional development for improving our school climate, social emotional learning, some media support, digital literacy, enhancing our physical education and learning through play. And the learning through play is sort of my favorite part because it enhances our TK program. And then operational costs. This is an allowable expense, and we'll explain a little bit more how those operational costs, they're not really fun to talk about, but it's the labor-related costs for employees. And we're going to actually be able to expand the PE program for all of our schools by using the money in this way. Again, when we are spending our money, we want to make sure that it aligns with our priorities. And here's our mission to be able to provide that our students become what we want them to become, the portrait of an 8th grader. So in spending this money, we want to make sure that what we're doing is supporting this mission, that our 8th graders are confident, compassionate, courageous members of our community, prepared to make meaningful contributions to our world. And how do we do that is through our 3 LCAP goals. And tonight we're going to be focusing on goals 1 and goal 2. Goal 1 is really our student performance achievement goal. Goal 2 is our student climate, how students engage with each other and having a positive school climate. And goal 3 is our community engagement. Well, this money is meant for students, so that's why we're focusing the spending on this money on goals 1 and goal 2. So the first way we are going to spend the money is on materials and professional development. One of the larger committees that we've been running all year, I have members or teacher members from every school, several administrators, and our teachers on special assignment for math, is this math task force. And the math task force has been very clear that we're interested in piloting new materials next year for an adoption going into the following year. That's a very expensive endeavor in our district. It will be close to $1 million and $1.5 million for the materials and the curriculum and all of the manipulatives that are needed. So being able to spend this block grant money in this appropriate way is truly an investment in the next 7 years, because then we will have updated math curriculum, which is what the math committee is asking for. Again, we would have spent that money, but it would have been other money that we had earmarked. So again, this is opening up, being able to spend non-strings attached money in other ways when we know we have to spend this money for instructional materials. That's one of the ways that Cindy or Mrs. Martin really helps us to clear the path and get the things done that we need to do in our district. We're also going to spend the money on visual and performing arts. You know that as luminary arts in our district, and we can expand that in this way. Digital science, we have a mystery science program that is desired by many of our teachers. It's very engaging for students, and a new video streaming program that has been requested by our teachers. And as Mr. Fell has investigated, is appropriate and legal. So those are good resources to have. Then we're going to reinvest in Orton Gillingham. So additional training for our teachers. We have, I think, upwards of 75 teachers trained. And this summer we have another 60 to 75 teachers who are willing to come during their summer break and receive the training. And we are bringing the Orton Gillingham trainers here. Our previous training was virtual, so that was great. And having them on our site is going to be even more beneficial. We're going to invest in some Spanish language opportunity books. So language rich materials that students will have to read Spanish novels and leveled text in Spanish. And then to support our online curriculum, as you know, we have an innovative program with our virtual school and Santa Margarita Academy who uses Edmentum. So we will be able to use this funding to pay for that platform. Oh, sorry, let me go back. Again, lining up with our priorities, goals 1 and 2, and really helping our students be both scholarly and confident. And this accounts for more than $2.3 million of the grant over the 4 years. Another way that we want to invest in our school culture and climate is to purchase additional physical education curriculum and materials, digital fitness tracking program, the TK Creative Play. We're adding 2 TK classes, as you know, 2 more months of for 4-year-olds, 5-year-olds can attend our schools now. And so we need to equip those new classrooms. So this takes that burden off of the general fund. We can use these funds to purchase the large rug in the middle of the room, all of the furniture, the play, the creative play costumes that help students, the little kitchens that we love in TK. So additional furniture and workstations, and then the outdoor education activities. We have such a unique program. I can't wait to share more at a different time about the Deleuze program. We have just amazing opportunities through
project-based learning and at our Duluth location with our outdoor education program. And so we'll be able to allocate some funds. And this is helping our students be caring and innovative. And this accounts for about almost $66,000 of our grant. Then here is where we get really creative with those operational costs. What we are planning to do is spend this money in support of the labor-related costs for our PE assistants. So Fallbrook has not only decided to invest in PE teachers at all of our school sites, which we know creates a very professional and gives our students a better experience for PE. That is unique. Not all elementary schools do that, or very few actually. And when I learned that this is how Fallbrook does it, I thought, well, of course, because we do things the right way. But we also added assistance. Now that releases the whole grade level to go out to PE at the same time. So at one school, you could have like 80 to 85 to 90 third graders, right? In the grade level. Well, when you have all of the 85 third graders out, one PE teacher could facilitate those activities, but a PE teacher and an aide would be so much better, more safe. And that allows the teachers to train and plan together and really create that cohesive grade level, talk about data, make the differences, make the changes they need to make. So that's an investment in not only teacher development, students really getting quality PE, but it also builds our students' resilience and helps them be leaders because they're learning that leadership out on the field, and they're learning the cooperation with each other on the playground. So that accounts for about $500,000. We are going to spend this money in the next 4 fiscal years. And the allocations, I put the information there, it breaks down to from the state, and we didn't do anything special to ask for this money. The state is granting every district. Again, each LEA can determine how to spend it that serves their needs. And it's about $650 per ADA. Average daily attendance. So that's how the money is calculated. That's why we received $2.some million. So with that, I want to say thank you. And I want to mention that this is not a plan that I decided to pull out of the air. Actually, we collaborate really well in this district. I want to thank our parent and community for engaging with us and attending our parent engagement meetings, because that's how we receive the information, what our community values. Dr. Curcio outlined all of the financials. We work with our business team to make sure we're spending the money correctly and within the timelines. And then our communications team helps me with this presentation. So it's engaging for you all. And with that, I'm open to questions, and I am looking forward to approving this so we can get started.
So, excuse me. Since it's a one-time grant,
yes,
with the elementary getting PE teachers,
yes.
Now, what happens once that money is gone? Then the school, they continue, right? They would continue to work. So now it's just more teachers.
Good question. And let me just be really clear. This is to pay for the assistance, and it's the labor related costs line with the assistance. And we had already planned on paying for that out of general fund, but now that we can use this money, it frees up the general fund. So after 2026, then either we find another way to fund it or it goes back to the general fund. And then I'll defer to Mrs. Martin to make sure that it gets paid for.
We already have PE teachers in all of our elementary schools. We've had it for a number of years. It's the way that we provide release time and planning time for our teachers. So in the past, the regular ed teacher that had the 3rd grade class also had to provide X number of PE minutes that's required by law to those kiddos. So what we've done is we've hired full-time PE teachers. It's been a number of years. It's been part of our LCAP. And by doing that, then that teacher takes, like she said, all of the 3rd graders out. Now those 3rd grade teachers can plan together, have time, that is within their workday and not trying to do it before or after school. It gives them some set aside designated release time. It came through as part of the LCAP. It was the input that came through, and I couldn't say which group should get credit for it being such a great idea. But we've expanded upon it by then adding the PE assistants. Those were part-time positions, and I think we've heard about the need to be able to attract and retain our people that live around here. So one of the things that we did was make them full-time during this year. Doesn't do any good to have all the positions budgeted if you don't have people working in them. So we have that planned already, but this is a way to kind of extend it beyond just what we would have planned now. So as Dr. Houston said, when this one-time pot of money goes away, it would fall back to the general fund to absorb that cost, which is where we currently have it right now, because we didn't know we were getting this pot of money at the time we adopted the budget. So there again, it just frees up more money for the board to make decisions on how best to spend it without the strings attached, if that makes sense, hopefully.
Yes, thank you.
It's a tribute to how flexible we can be because we have the true north of our LCAP goals and the services that we want to provide. And so then when the funding comes along that we maybe didn't expect, we still have the plan on how to enhance instruction. And then it created actually a little bit of a savings to be able to be innovative in another way. Any other questions? Okay, thank you so much for your consideration.
All right, so do I have a motion to approve the AMIM grant?
A motion to approve.
Thank you. Do I have a second?
I second.
Thank you. And seeing that there were no questions for Dr. Husing, I'll just go ahead and call for the vote. Ms. McBride? Aye. Thank you, Mr. Favela.
Aye.
Ms. Lundin? Aye. Ms. Sabal?
Aye.
And I vote aye as well, so motion passes. So, and then the number 2 information item is workshop and conference attendance. And number 3 is information Williams compliant 3rd quarterly report.
Information.
And then under item 6, consent agenda, the recommendation, it is recommended the governing board approve the consent agenda as presented. So do I have a motion to approve the consent agenda?
Motion to approve.
Thank you. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Thank you. Do we have any questions or discussion on the agenda item? Okay, I will call for a vote. I'll mix it up this time. Ms. Lundin. Aye. Mr. Favela.
Aye.
Ms. McBride. Aye. And Ms. Sabal. Aye. And I vote aye as well. So the consent agenda items. And I believe that brings us to the close of our meeting. Okay. So we will adjourn at 8:07. 15 minutes, everybody.